The Fantastic Four movies are known for being one thing: not that good. I could have sworn that the very first one in 2005 was okay. But the last time I saw that was when my ass was still drinking chalky milk. So last week. No, but seriously, it's been yonks since I witnessed that film. And I haven't even seen the other two. And with First Steps coming out very soon, let's see what competition it has. I was right! This movie to me feels like the most mid-2000s movie I've ever seen. The old ass phones doing super high-tech stuff, the need to be super badass and not take anything seriously.
I don't know whether I should be flying or doing Swan Lake in these suits. I mean, who the hell came up with these?
And the, at points, horrendously dated CGI. But all this stuff really adds to the charm of the movie, and why I think it's a cute little experience. For those of you who don't know the origin story like I did, let me guide you. So 5 people casually go to space to study some cosmic clouds, but accidentally get exposed to the storm, causing their DNA to change and give them all superpowers. Reed Richards can stretch his body, Sue Storm can turn invisible and create force fields. Johnny Storm gets hot, and Ben Grimm becomes a pile of rocks. There was also Victor Von Doom, who was protected by a metal shield, but this caused his body to slowly turn to metal. And he can shoot lightning for some reason. Okay. One question on my mind is, why does everyone get such drastically different abilities when they were all exposed in the same way at the same time? Victor's metal body makes sense since he was exposed through metal, but the others are just kind of random. I know it would make the story and characters less interesting if everyone had the same powers, so why didn't Stanley think of this 45 years ago? All the characters get some pretty solid character development, which is kind of impressive since the movie has to flesh out and balance 4 main characters and a villain. Reed has to learn to stop listening to his brain all the time and listen to his heart as he rekindles his relationship with Sue. Ben goes on a journey of self-loathing since he definitely got the short hand of the stick appearance-wise. He accepts his new look by the end after a seriously fierce campaign to get rid of it.
It's clobbering time!
It's catchy, right? Isn't that great?
Johnny honestly doesn't grow all that much, since he's just having a great time with his powers. But I think he learns to think before acting, or something. But poor Sue, man. She's pretty much only here to serve Reed's character. She's still a character in her own right, but doesn't have anything special to do by herself. There are also a few scenes of her stripping down to use her powers, which is pretty cringeworthy, all things considered, and feels really forced. So Ben is outed to the world and is swarmed by people. The other 3 characters need to get through the crowd. Sue undresses to use her powers to get through, which is Reed's idea, by the way. My man! So she does get through, but Reed and Johnny go another way and catch up to her before getting to Ben later. That was all ultra unnecessary and solely an excuse to get Jessica Alba half naked, and that's upsetting. Besides all that, I became pretty attached to the characters. This version of Reed looks very heroic, while also looking like someone who had no friends in high school, so I bought his character. I also like that everyone already knows each other before the events of the movie. I don't need to see how everyone met, because that doesn't matter. How they become the 4 is what matters. This allows everyone to have some great interactions with one another.
Wow. Fantastic. Material made from self-regulating unstable molecules.
They even know Victor too, so we can jump right into the plot without wasting any time introducing the main villain. We do see his transformation into Doctor Doom throughout, but I wish he was a tiny bit more fleshed out. After the incident in space, Victor loses all his fame, money, bitches, and becomes mad with power. This seems to be all there is. Just a power-hungry, mustache-twirling bad guy. But he also wants revenge on Reed for supposedly causing all this. And also stealing his girl. My man? It's funny how smart of a villain Victor is, since he doesn't try to use his powers to take everyone out. He fully plans different ways to disarm every member of the team. He very nicely cures Ben's rock problem, sicks a heat-seeking missile on Johnny, freezes Reed so he can't stretch, and just chokes Sue. Poor Sue. He is forced to fight them all head-on anyway, and promptly loses very quickly, but at least he tried. This is all done okay, but there isn't much plot happening in general. It's mostly, oh my god guys, we need to cure our awesome powers! And Victor goes, no, my fucking Bitcoin! I think it actually does the movie a disservice, devoting the whole movie to them trying to get rid of their powers instead of using them. It could be to save budget, but there aren't a whole lot of moments of them using their powers. I don't believe this to be a bad movie. In fact, it's crisp. But I can see why this wouldn't be a great Fantastic Four movie. But hey, it got a sequel, so maybe they can redeem themselves. If I told you I didn't know if I liked this movie, would you believe me? I wouldn't class it as a bad movie, but I felt nothing after watching it. There are a lot of aspects that feel like they just happened for no reason, and it's way more noticeable considering how much is crammed in here. But first of all, RIP to Andre Braugher, who plays a smallish part in this movie. He was my favorite part of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and is the reason why I love that show so much. He was taken too soon. The plot of this movie is arguably even more simple than the last one, with the Fantastic Four needing to put a stop to the Silver Surfer because he's been a dick to the Earth.
Evidently, this entity, this Silver Surfer.
Say that again?
He starts creating massive holes for seemingly no reason, and speaks of a world-eating entity coming to make Earth its breakfast. I have to ask again, why the holes? They make a big deal to show off these holes, but they don't seem to have any significance. It comes across like the people making the movie knew the Surfer needed to come to Earth to prepare it for Galactus, but couldn't think of a way to show that. He does get some pretty cool scenes with the Four, like Johnny's chase scene, and him fucking shit up in the forest. The Surfer does a lot of freaky shit with his powers, and I love it. Makes him really feel like an alien. A bit too much runtime is spent with the Silver Surfer, leaving there close to no room for Galactus to actually come into the plot. Hyping him up is a cool idea, yes, but when he shows up as a giant fart cloud and does nothing, it's pretty lame, I will admit. He's here only for a few minutes, then the Surfer kamikazes himself and takes Galactus with him. You'd think that since we have a brand new antagonist in the Surfer and Galactus, I guess, this movie wouldn't dare to bring back Doctor Doom for no reason. They brought back Doctor Doom for no reason. The Surfer's presence revives him, but not without some scarring from his last encounter with the Four. Then Victor gets blasted by the Surfer, which somehow heals him completely? And now Bro wants to team up with the Four to capture him? Could this be any less obvious where this is going? Victor just wants the board, since that's where the Surfer's powers come from. And after he gets it, a 2-minute fight with Johnny breaks out, and he is defeated. All of that, seriously, it did not need to happen. We had plenty of Doctor Doom in the last movie, and even though the Surfer plotline wasn't the craziest thing ever from cinema, it could hold its own in the story. So bringing back Doctor Doom feels like a forced play by the studio. While the Fantastic Four are trying to catch the Surfer, they run into some troubles of their own. After Johnny makes contact with the Surfer, he's able to swap powers with the others with one touch. This is because the Surfer gives off the same cosmic radiation as the storm that gave them their powers? Whatever. It sounds like a fun gimmick to liven up the movie, right? No. Johnny only switches with everyone once, only to never use their powers for anything cool or important. Thing Johnny is cursed. It's only at the end, when Victor has the board, that Johnny thinks that maybe all their powers together can stop him. Granted, yeah, he's right, but this wasn't how the switching was presented as before. He actually swapped powers with the others, but now he just takes them? Why isn't he fully covered in rock? And why Johnny in particular? I feel like this could have been done with anyone, and it wouldn't have made much of a difference. Another contrived story element that hardly gets any satisfying payoff. Oh, and Jessica Alba is naked again. Fuck, that was a lot of negativity. But this movie does a decent job at continuing to build these characters and giving them stuff to do. It's Johnny's turn to get a character arc, where he becomes less self-centered and locks in when it's needed. I wish this tied in more with the power changing idea. Like maybe instead of switching, he'd just steal the other's powers. But the more power he has, the bigger toll it takes on his body. This would make the ending fight with Doom impactful, as he would be risking his life to stop Mr. Cowabunga. He doesn't have to die or anything, but it's the thought that counts. Plus, it would make the power combining make more sense. Johnny and Ben's friendship is constructed a lot better here, as they still tease and bicker. But at the end of the day, they really are friends who care for each other. Ben is actually a lot more positive now, even cracking some jokes at himself, which is fun to see. It would have killed the vibe if he was still sad about his literal rock-hard abs. Reed is still the awkward nerd we love, so there's not a lot on his end. But Sue though, she gets something to do instead of being Reed's bitch. She's the one to really connect with the Surfer after he's desurfed, and the two actually form a bond. I think she uses her powers the most out of everyone, and the best thing she does is get stabbed. This was actually really clever. We saw earlier in the movie that the surfer and his board can go through Sue's force fields, and you completely forget this fact. But the end of the movie, when Victor throws a spear from the board at the surfer, Sue tries to save him, but it goes right through and gets her, and then she dies, L. I think this movie is okay. While a lot of this stuff is unnecessary or undercooked, I think it's easier to get some enjoyment out of this. The characters do a lot of heavy lifting, and while the story was underwhelming, I didn't hate it. Definitely not the great Fantastic Four movie we were looking for, so let's continue on. What? Who in their right mind thought this movie would be anything other than complete dog water? I feel violated, I feel sick, and I feel ashamed. So Fan 4 Stick is another attempt to make this concept work, because the last movies weren't received that well. But somehow, this one did even worse than those two. There was so much effort into making so many changes, and was it worth it? No, because this isn't a Fantastic Four movie. Sure, it has all the same character names and powers, but it's so devoid of life and fun that maybe Galactus should eat this world. There's this thick layer of misery over the whole movie, like how every character comes off really snarky and an asshole. Reed's teacher is the biggest hater I've ever seen.
When I grow up, I want to be the first person in human history to teleport himself.
This is all very interesting, but the assignment was to pick a real career in the real world.
He's like 10 years old! Let a brother dream! Another example is Ben's brother, who does this.
Clobbering time.
Yep, the Thing's iconic catchphrase, now associated with abuse. Fucking wicked. When the gang gets their powers, the suits they wear are just all black, with no resemblance to the blue uniforms they usually have. And I'm legit getting mad over all this. Look, if you've watched this movie, you know what I mean, because the only reaction this got out of me was a frown. The origin story for these characters has changed a little bit. Instead of being successful adults, every character has been de-aged to not even in their 20s. This fact makes it a lot harder to believe that these teenagers somehow are able to create a machine to travel to another dimension. Because space would have been much more believable, I say sarcastically. They get their powers from an accident when returning from that dimension. And I appreciate that you see how everyone would get different abilities. Ben's pod is filled with rocks. Johnny is set on fire. Sue wasn't even in a pod. And I don't know for Reed. Granted, this film does try and do something different from what has been done before by showing us stuff like how Reed and Ben met. But I feel like this isn't that integral to show us. Would it be any different if we didn't see this? Even so, I don't buy Reed and Ben's friendship in the first place. They get 3 scenes in total before the inevitable incident. And even in those scenes, it doesn't seem like they like each other. I feel so bad for Ben. First, Reed pressures him into going, then he's mutated, then Reed ditches his ass, and then he's manipulated into working for the government. The worst part about Ben's character is that him and Reed never properly reconcile. Ben hates Reed, and then they fight Doom together and everything's cool. Oh yeah, Victor's here too.
Dr. Doom over here.
He helps build the shuttle and gets left in the other dimension and blah blah blah, he's Dr. Doom. The actual building of the shuttle takes up 40 minutes of the movie! And a good film would take this opportunity to have the main characters bond with one another. The only scene is of Reed and Sue laughing. I'm invested. As a result, I do not care for any of the 4 or Victor, since they're all lame without any standout personality. Even when they get their powers, they don't feel like superheroes, just dogs for the government. Where's the whimsy? And they need the suits to control their powers? Oh, that's so bullshit. All hope is not lost just yet. There's still a tiny bit. There's a bit of a horror angle in some parts, which would have been interesting. Doom goes on a bit of a killing spree, which is a neat scene with the camera over the shoulder, making it feel like a video game. And all the body horror stuff with the main characters is a cool way to perceive them. It would be terrifying having this happen to you. And I think this is where a serious angle pays off. But after the year time jump, all that is lost. Instead, we get a generic final climax that comes out of nowhere because the movie wasted 40 minutes giving the characters their powers. The way they defeat him is just taking turns punching him. I would honestly say this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen, because it's a hot mess. I heard there were some issues behind the scenes, but they still released this monstrosity, so I'm gonna judge it.
Which reminds me, I think that the 4 of us should have a name.
Why would we need a name?
Because we're a team now, and there's 4 of us. Say that again?
The Fantastic Four just can't catch a break in the movie world. I feel for the comic fans who probably want an actually good movie about these characters. Again, the first movie I looked at wasn't the worst thing out there, but I wouldn't consider it a great movie. Will the curse continue when First Steps comes out soon? Or will it also be kind of whatever? It seems like Marvel has a lot of faith in it, so I think it would be good.